In this video, I will address some flaws I have with the new Obliterator designs and make an attempt at fixing them. It's gonna be a conversion video. Let's fix the dreaded Obliterator diaper. While getting in touch with my chaos side, eventually Obliterators drew my attention. We all know how effective Obliterators are on the tabletop, and while the new plastic sculpts are, for the most part, heads and shoulders above the older finecast ones, there is one aspect of them I find inferior, and that is the aesthetic of their flesh metal weapons and body. And nowhere is this more evident than in the grim darkness of the Obliterator diaper. To me, the aesthetic fails to evoke the blending of metal and flesh, and gives a more demon-stuffed into power armor vibe. Take a look at this art from the Codex. Now, I don't think the model needs to have sinuous muscle fibers all over, but look at its weapon points. It definitely reads, at least to me, more as a being capable of spawning weapons from within. But I digress. With the assessment done, let's get on to the fixing. For this conversion, I'll be using greenstuff. It's a staple for any hobbyists who enjoy kit bashing and making conversions. For the uninitiated, to turn this blue and yellow stuff into green stuff, you have to mix them together. And once your sculpting is done, give it about 4 to 5 hours for the green stuff to harden, and probably a whole day for it to fully cure. 2 important tips when working with green stuff. Keep your tools which contact the green stuff moist with water, to keep it from sticking while you work. And don't mix the yellow and blue stuff 50-50. I prefer a ratio closer to 65-35. I find the resulting more yellowish green stuff a bit softer, which makes it more sculpting friendly. On the table I got one of the newer plastic obliterators. It's the uglier one from the two, the one with the gross toes, the flamer, and no loincloth to hide his diaper from the front. The plan is to use the green stuff to help better blend the demonic flesh with the armor, evoking the style of the older Obliterator aesthetic. Currently this Oblit is in 2 halves. Before I start working with the green stuff, I first need to get his head in there. Here, before gluing him back together, I'm going to make 2 cuts with my clippers. I'm going to take a chunk out of his crotch plate, and a smaller chunk out of the faceplate, keeping careful not to ruin the detail of his demon eyes. The idea here is to create some gaps to feed the green stuff into. With the model glued back together, here's how it looks. I left the back of the diaper unchanged. Because of how totally it encompasses his legs, I didn't deem it necessary to remove material to create a smoother blend for our green stuff flesh metal. Now it's time for some sculpt planning. Before sculpting begins, I am looking at the form of the existing organic components and trying to orient my add-ons in a way that makes it as cohesive as possible with the base model. So looking at the diaper and how the leg musculature is situated from the pose, I think the green stuff flesh coming in from the top on the right side and coming in from the bottom on the left side will look pretty good. With the sculpting tool moist and ready, I begin. To start, a blob of green stuff is shoved into the target area. Then, I stretch the material across the area as desired, keeping its orientation in mind to blend it with the base model. Once I am happy with the overall shape, I create the striations. With this I find less is more, you only need a few to create the illusion of sinewy muscles. And finally, on the edges of our green stuff, I'm going to tease the material out as thin as I can get it. The idea is to create as smooth a blend as possible with the model underneath. And that's it. Now the process is repeated as desired across the model. Just remember where you put your hands so you don't smush the work you just did. You can also extend these areas like I am doing now, simply by repeating the process, blending the masses together. So for review, place a blob in the center of the target area, stretch it across creating the shape desired, add striation lines, and blend out the shapes. And here's the process being done on the front plates, where I removed those chunks earlier. And there we have it, my fix to the dreaded Obliterator diaper. What do you think? The diaper is easily my least favorite part of the original model, and I think this technique does help reduce its severity. But you know, I don't particularly like how this flamer looks like it's just being held. And his other hand doesn't seem to have anything going on. That chain cannon could be handy to have for a Havoc or a Terminator Lord. And if you want to run a squad of 3 Obliterators, you're going to have to field a duplicate. And from the 2 available, I think the one we got here is probably easier to convert. So let's convert some flesh metal weapons. Thanks for watching. I have a sequel of sorts on the way, one where I convert some flesh metal guns. So stay tuned. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to post them below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next one.